So we've suddenly got a new blockbuster. Let's call it 10 days in January. 10 down days in January. The market's gone down every day for the last 2 weeks. It's down over 5% this week, making over 10% for the very short year so far. That's wiped nearly $150 billion off the value of your shares. Happy New Year. Well, actually, maybe there is some good news because it's also taking the dollar down. The dollar dropped 2.5 cents over the week. That's good news for the economy, good news for jobs, good news for exporters. So the bottom line with shares is that it's wiped out pretty much all the upside that we saw in 2007, taking share values back to where they were at the end of 2006. So you've sort of taken a year off on your investments. The cause, of course, is what's happening on Wall Street, the subprime meltdown. I like to think of it more in its more fundamental sense, which is all these overpaid donkeys, otherwise known as banking and clever executives, formerly known as masters of the universe, who made some stupid loans in some very stupid situations. Now, there's no point in running through the losses through the week. Just about every stock was down. Centro, of course, fell sharply after it had a mix of sort of good news, but mostly bad news. The good news, sort of, was that they will probably win an extension of time from their banks to try and put a deal together. Doesn't make a deal any more likely, doesn't mean much for shareholders. And sort of good news, the CEO, Andrew Scott, was walking out the door. Bad news, he walked out the door with a $3 million golden goodbye. The BHP action, Rio sort of picked up during the week. We had these dueling, travelling CEOs. Both BHP boss Marius Kloppers and Rio boss Tom Albanese were flying all over Western Australia trying to impress journalists and analysts. That could hot up next week if the rumour on Friday is true that BHP is prepared to up its bid for Rio and would unveil it perhaps even on Monday. That certainly mitigated the fall in the Rio share price on Friday. So why on earth is the Reserve Bank contemplating a rate rise in 3 weeks? Bottom line, because our economy is still strong. The jobless figures on Thursday showed that. But maybe they were pointing to a golden yesterday. Nevertheless, there are inflation pressures out there, and we're going to find out just how significant they are on Wednesday with the CPI, which will determine essentially whether the Reserve Bank lifts rates. We'll tell you next week.